Hi everyone and welcome back. So the next set of videos I decided that before working on to the applications like user search applications or to do application, I will first give a complete end-to-end review on the HTML DOM. So there might be something which we need to understand that we will cover here, and then we will build some applications using HTML and the DOM API. Okay, so first we are talking about DOM APIs, and I'm going to cover these four different sections for the DOM, and then we are going to talk about WOM, browser object model, like the browser APIs, whatever you see, the navigator, geolocation, history, or timeout, timing APIs, set timeout, set time interval, all are browser APIs. So we need to understand what are browser APIs and what are JavaScript DOM APIs. Okay, so we already know that this is HTML tag, right? And what we can do with the help of DOM to a simple HTML tag. I mean, DOM can do anything or can do everything with the HTML tag. It can change all the HTML element. It can append a new child to the tag. It can change the ID. It can change the class. DOM APIs can change the attribute of this HTML element. So why we are calling it as HTML element? I mean, these are DOM element or HTML element, P tag, H1 tag, any tag are the elements, HTML tag and the element. We can remove the children of the tag. You can add a new children. You can handle all these kind of events. Let's say somebody click onto this. So what we will do? So all those things we can define here. Okay, when you click onto the paragraph tag, or let's say here it is a button tag instead of P tag, right? So you can add an event, you can change the attribute, you can change the children, you can even just display, you can just change the style of this particular tag. So all those things are possible through the DOM APIs. Okay, you can do anything with for anything on top of HTML nodes using DOM APIs. So DOM, we have already discussed. DOM is a document object model, the whole tree structures which we get when the document is rendered on the browser. So this is the how DOM tree looks like. You can see the document, there is a root element, HTML head, and inside body, whatever the nodes you are creating, right? So this is the element, and this is the children of the element, the text. So anchor is the element, attribute is the href, and this is the text inside it. So body is the element, and these are the children's h1 and anchor tag. So this is the document object model, and through these DOM APIs. So document object model DOM, and the DOM API is nothing but an interface, programming interface in JavaScript, using which we can access the children of any node. We can access the properties of any node. Even we can access all the methods. We can access all the properties. We can add events to individual DOM node, or we can actually get updates, add, delete the nodes. All those stuff we can do through the DOM APIs. So let's start playing with this. Let's say if I create a simple ID demo, right? And there is index.js. We can just put the code inside this. Here in this, what we are going to do is, so how to access this element? Document.get element by ID demo, and here we can just do inner HTML. And we can say, so what we are doing here using this code is we are updating the inner content of this demo ID. So this demo ID, you can see hello world. I reload this. Sometimes you need to run this again, and you can see hi, I'm Tarun. Why it is happening is on load, it is loading this JavaScript file which says is whatever is inside the get element by ID demo, set the inner HTML of this, or you can just assign this to a variable, let's say const node, and then you can say node.inner HTML. So you can do lots of things on this node.add event listener if you want to attach a event listener, or you can access the attributes. Let's say if I do console.log Will I get the console log? Not sure. We can try. So currently it doesn't have any attributes. Let's say if I do class hello, right? So what we are trying to do is node.attribute. So here you got the one attribute, right? So node.attributes, I think this is a array, so we need to access them. But this is how you can access lots of things on this node. This is actually a JavaScript node which contains lots of information about this node. Node dot base URI, click, you can attach a event listeners and all. Node dot has attribute, has child node to check if the node has a further child or not. Node dot text content. So what it will give you? It will give you the text content from this node. Right, this is the text content of this node. Similarly, if I talk about, these are all DOM APIs using which you can access. These are the event listeners. Okay, because this is HTML node, we will talk about that, but here what we can do is node.add event listener. There are different ways to attach an event, because in HTML it's all about adding a dynamic behavior, and what we are doing is I want to add a event listener, and that is click event listener. So whenever anybody clicks onto this, I want to execute this function. This is actually a way of defining a method. So when you do this, you can see it is clicked. There is another way of doing it also, node dot on click, right? So whenever you do on click onto this and you wanted to execute something, then you can do console.log right. So you can attach the events on the node. You can see again I'm clicked. So you can attach events. Even let's say there is a button. This was h1 tag. There can be a button tag also. I mean, click action on the button makes much sense. Button ID is, let's say ID I'm putting button, and we got one button, right? So we got the ID. So how can I access this node? First of all, I will just say, I mean, we can just skip this thing we have already discussed, or I can comment this whole thing. Right, what we can do is I will start writing from the top, const button node equal to document dot get element by ID, and here the ID this time is button, right? And now you can do button dot, lots of things you can do on the button node dot add event listener. We can do something like this. Okay, when you click onto this, I want to execute something, so that can happen here. Right, so when you click onto this, reload this, you can see it's clicked, right? So these are the ways. First of all, you will access the button node. Even here you can access all the properties of the button node. Button node dot attributes, all the child nodes. Child nodes should give you the array. I think if there is any child nodes, you can say the node list is empty, there is no children. So this is how what we call is accessing the DOM. What I'm doing is I'm accessing the button and attaching it the listener. So you can do lots of things here. Here you can do is button node dot inner text or inner HTML click me, right? Here you can see click me is there. So you can, inner HTML, inner text you can change. So what we are doing, we are doing a DOM manipulation. This is the major word you call it is DOM manipulation. No manipulation. Okay, so what are all the DOM events? If you talk about this readme, what are the DOM methods? We have already discussed all those. Document.get element by ID, document.get element by tag name, document.get element by class name, right? These methods I'm talking about. Accessing the DOM node based on these all the methods. Document.query selector, query selector all, it will give you a single node. Query selector all will give you all the nodes matching that criteria. Document.get element by id, class name, tag names, okay, ns, get selection. All these are the standard methods. Here you can also get the reference also. So these are all DOM events, and DOM is nothing but a document object, right? So what all methods we see everywhere is these all: document.get element by id, document.get element by tag name, document.get element by class name. So it is going to find all the elements by class name. It is a plural. It is finding a single element. It's a single. It will give you the single node by the id. Get element by tag name, it will give you find elements by tag name. It will give you find elements by class name. So these are the plural. That means they will give you an array. But I mean, that will be the node list. It will give you the single node HTML element. It will give you the node list, a collection, an array. This will also give you an array. And how we are changing the content of what are the different ways to change the content of a particular node is, we can do lots of things like button node example dot inner HTML, okay, button node dot inner text, button node dot style dot, and now you can see all the style properties which using JavaScript you can access. Style dot property, let's say font size, font family, font size, all these you can change. I need to comment all these methods. You can see hello world, font size is increased, so we can access the inner HTML, we can access the style, we can also set some attributes. How? Button node dot attributes dot so element dot set attribute, this is the way, element dot set attribute, okay, and you can pass the key value name. Okay, I wanted to set the class to this node as button class. So at the runtime this class will be added. You just need to have a styles, okay. Let's say in the button class you wanted to have a background color, right? You can see it becomes gray because we are updating, we are setting the attribute class. So you can set an id, class, or any of the attribute like this. So these are the possible options which you can do. I mean, there are many other things you can do with this DOM APIs. So currently we are just accessing a single DOM and trying to change the style, font size, setting one attribute, changing the inner text, inner HTML, but you can do a lot more than that. Like, okay, let's say you have a div here instead of button, and I wanted to add a child to the div. Okay, so let's say this is a div, and okay, I will just say is div id, and div has an id app. Okay, it's a simple div with id app. Okay, and here let's not remove this code. I can start adding something on the top, so you can refer this if you want. So what we are doing here is I'm just getting the id app, so that is giving me the div node, right? On the div node you can do lots of things. On this div node you can actually change the style and all those things. I will not go into that. Div node dot set attribute. What else we can do apart from the basic things? I will just comment this out, and now here we will write our code. So what we can do, so you can also create a new elements and then add the new element to the div node. Currently div has a hello world, right? Even I will just try to, let's keep this button. I'll just put a line change. Reference error, id not defined. What is this error? Id is not defined. Let's see, go to JS. Yeah, those were creating problems. So I will reload this. Everything is good. Now on this div node, what are the other ways we can do? We can create a new node, right? And how we can do it? I mean, brand new node. I'm trying to insert a HTML created by JavaScript. So you can do document dot create element. This is also another API. I mean, on the document you can create a new element, and you can just specify, okay, what should be the new element, and I'm just saying is I'm creating new element h1. Okay, and then div node dot append child new node, and in this new node which you have created, new node dot inner HTML, I am being added. Okay, now if you just try to reload this, this is the new node, and inside div node you have appended this child, and now you can see, boom, what we have done. Let's try to understand this. We did nothing. We created a new node. Document.createElement is an API, and I set the inner HTML to this h1. I'm being added, and then this h1 I have added, inserted this h1 or appended this HTML in the div node. So programmatically I'm adding h1 node inside a div node. Okay, so there are different ways of doing it. I mean, there are other APIs also which says document. I will just try to write it, document dot remove child. Let's say if you wanted to remove a child, document dot remove child, append child, then create element. We have already using create element, append child, remove child, and replace child. If you, let's say you have a source and target, let's say you have a new and old. Okay, I wanted to replace this child with this child, so that you can do. So these are the fun, right? This is really funny doing this. So you can remove child, you can append a child. So I created a new node h1 and I'm appending this child on the div node. You can also add an event handler. So either you do something like this, like, okay, I got the div node, then div node dot what you can do is on click, and there are different methods, obviously, because we want to do a mouse click. So I can just do a function, or you can just do this whole thing here also. I mean, that just doing the same thing here. You are adding a node on that, or to make it little nicer or nice and clean, you can do something like this, right? So div node, when you click onto this, you can just do a console.log or something. Which div node, you can see click is coming, right? So all those things are DOM APIs. So this first, the another set of APIs which I talked about is creating the element and adding that, right? So these are all DOM elements, div, p, ul, li, h1, and we are actually playing with them through the JavaScript. Here we are not doing anything. We just have this div with id, class name or tag name, and you can access this not by using get element by id. You can just use get element by class name, tag name. It depends, because I want to do id because I want only single element with the id app. But when you have a classes, let's say I have here class hello and here also class hello. So what I will do is let's add a new set of code here. If you change this to get element by class name, element by class name, and here you will say hello. So what it will give you, this div node is the HTML collection. If you try to do console.log, it's going to give you the collection of node. Append child. Now append child is not a method. We need to remove these because this is coming as an array. So all these methods, right? New node, inner HTML, that you are applying only on a single node, HTML single node. But currently this is returning us an array of nodes, right? So we cannot do anything. We can actually, yeah, we can do a lot of things. If you try to, how can I check the console? I'm just trying to access console if it is getting printed here. I think it's not coming here. Even if I reload this, it is going to give me here. So it is giving me the HTML collection, right? Div node 0 or 1. Let's say I do 1. Then you can see this is the first element, right? And then on this node, so what you are doing is, okay, let's say I already know that the first node will be that and second node will be that. So we can run a loop onto that. Const, now here you need some JavaScript, okay? Const j of div nodes, that I will explain later. Otherwise you can just do a simple for loop. What you can do is for loop let j equal to 0. I think this is the basic programming. It happens in, and it's same in all the programming languages we have seen till now. And we need to run this till div node dot length, right? And here we can access console.log div node of j. It will give me all the nodes, right? This is the first node, then there is a second node also. What is second node? Okay, it's just hiding the first console output. Okay, so we got all the elements. Now what we can do on top of that, const node, and here div node of j, because this is an array. Here you can do lots of things. Here you can do again node dot inner HTML equal to, okay, I am reset. I'm doing reset. So all the child which you have will get reset with this thing. And you can see child's got reset, the button element got reset, the text got changed. Or further you can do lots of things. It's like the same. I mean, you are just writing the same code now in the for loop. Here you are accessing a single node. This is HTML element. Node.add event listener. And you can add a click. Okay, this is a click event. And you can do the same code here, whatever we were doing outside, but inside a loop, right? Here you can check lots of properties on this node. Node.attribute, append child, attach child, node.class name. Okay, all the things what we were doing when we were doing get element by id, now you can do here, because this is representing the same node whatever you are getting by document.get element by id. Here we are getting an array and we run a loop, and now we are getting a single node element. This is just another thing which we are doing with the same way. Okay, so if you talk about this, we now are good with HTML elements, how we access the DOM. There are what are the different methods, document.get element by id, class name, tag names and all. Just take care that you might be getting an array or a single node. If that is an array, run a loop and get the single node. Now DOM HTML, I mean DOM is all about accessing the HTML nodes. You can also play with the forms, you can apply the styles, and then DOM events. DOM events are really important because here we are going to apply the DOM events, like let's say on click. This is the DOM event, and on when you execute this, I will just click button click. Okay, this function you can define in your JS file, something like this, because JavaScript is very simple. They don't make things complex. And here I can use alert API. Alert API is available on the window. And here I will run this. And it sometimes takes time to refresh. So here we are doing alert and we are calling button click. This is the function. So on click is actually a DOM event, which what it does is when you do on click, when you click onto this button click function will get triggered. So we need to call this function. Yes. Now you can see click, because I need to call that function. I cannot just put right. Sometimes I'm doing React, Angular, so I got confused. But this is how we do in the vanilla JavaScript. Okay, you need to call this function. So these are the DOM events. Now on mouse over, on mouse down, on. Similarly, let's say on the input text field, input type text. What are the methods available? On change, right? Text change is a method which you want to call. Okay, and this is input type text, placeholder, whatever you can want to add. Let's refresh this. So this is the input type. But what I want to do is whenever you type something in the text field, I wanted to trigger an event, right? So text change you can define here, same as that function. And this function allows you to access the event object. And you can actually do console.log event.target. I'm not sure. Okay, this is not a React. Sorry, we cannot access things like this. So whenever you are doing on change, first of all, here I'm just doing a hello only. Okay. So whenever you are typing something in this, I will refresh this. Exchange. You can see hello is getting coming now. So on the on change, you need to also change you need to move the mouse out. You can see, then only this on change happens in vanilla JavaScript. You need to click outside after typing. That only it considers as a on click. So these are DOM events. We will talk about these in the details in the second video.